weeks now, we've told you The Mandalorian and Grogu was in trouble at the box office. But even our predictions, even our projections now looking too high, and disaster may be nigh for the Walt Disney Company. Today we'll tell you why the latest box office stuff from yesterday may have Pedro Pascal, Jon Favreau, and even Dave Filoni in a serious hot seat with Disney. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday. We've made it to the end of the work week. And let me tell you, you should be glad that you're not working at Lucasfilm. Wherever you are, folks, you'd rather be digging ditches today. And Kathleen Kennedy has left a whole wake of disaster in the exit her departure from the studio. All right, let's dive into it. The latest data is here. You won't believe how the premiere day is going so far off the rails for Star Wars. It's already flopping. The Mandalorian and Grogu early numbers are coming in, and this is not a win for Disney. Marvin Montenaro writing this one out of That Park Place. How much money does the Mandalorian and Grogu actually need to break even? We go here first, folks, so that you can see what this thing needs, and we're not coming close. It says, as Star Wars prepares for its long-awaited return to theaters with The Mandalorian and Grogu, a major question is hanging over the film heading into the opening weekend. How much money does this thing actually need to make? The answer may be significantly higher than many casual moviegoers realize. Folks, we'll be talking about this on the channel quite a bit, but this movie is going to need more than we had anticipated. In fact, it might need a lot more than we had anticipated. So get ready. This is not looking good. We had previously said probably about 600 million. Could be a lot more. Could be a lot more. And why, folks, should that set a sour tone all over Lucasfilm? Because they are not heading that direction. Also by Marvin Montenaro, same website, The Mandalorian and Grogu, flopping in Europe. Disney Star Wars comeback is already struggling overseas. Disney and Lucasfilm were hoping The Mandalorian and Grogu would mark a triumphant return for Star Wars on the big screen after a 7-year theatrical absence. Instead, early overseas numbers are raising serious concerns that the galaxy far, far away may not be the box office juggernaut it once was. According to respected box office analyst Luis Fernando, the film's opening day in Italy deserved a surprisingly soft performance that immediately sparked concern among industry watchers and fans alike. What are we talking about? Well, take a look at this. Luis Fernando says, The Mandalorian and Grogu kicked off global rollout in Europe, but not like one would expect from Star Wars. In fact, folks, this is the first film in 7 years to make it back to the big screen. There should be anticipation. We should be getting Phantom Menace-style numbers. Instead, it's a menace to Disney. In Italy's box office, the film starring Pedro Pascal grossed a modest $417,000 on the opening day. How does that compare? Well, it beats The Flash by $3,000, and it loses to Solo by not a little.
Yeah, and it loses to Captain America: Brave New World as well. Yeah,
Is that lower here? Do we have that? Right, Captain America: Brave New World. Yeah. Wow. This is really bad. This is really bad. Okay, it is, I believe, outperforming... Yes, it's barely outperforming the Marvels and Snow White right now.
It's a great, that's a great, way to put it. Like, don't worry, guys, it's doing better than Snow White and the Marvels.
Now, Marv, you just sent me a, let's see, we've got breaking news.
Yes.
Okay, here we go, folks. This just sent to me by Marvin. Let's take a look at this. From Luis Fernando, breaking right now. It says, and if Italy was soft on The Mandalorian and Grogu, in France's box office, things weren't much better.
Yes.
As the Star Wars film starring Pedro Pascal grossed a modest estimated $750,000 with 83,000 admissions on opening day. That is 100,000 lower than The Flash. That is 120,000 lower than Solo. Again, it says as one of the lowest debuts for Disney, for any Disney major IP post-COVID. Let's see, WOM is mixed with Mando receiving a 3.1 from critics, 3.3 from audiences. Oh no. Oh, I had not seen this. Holy cow. This is getting a B, an equivalent to a B on Cinema Score. Now, Jonas, for people who don't know, you don't want to be on Cinema Score. It sounds like it's good. No. It's not. You rarely ever see a C. A B plus is considered a really bad thing, but a B by itself. Jonas, walk us through this. This is horrific.
Right. Anything less than an A is basically bad with the Cinema Score. Cinema Score is a slid scale. A B is what would be an actual B is an A minus. in a more realistic scale. And then I don't know if they even have a B plus, but that would be more like a C, and down from there. That is abysmal for the audience right now. Now, what I'm seeing a lot from the Rotten Tomatoes critics, which take that for what it's worth. This is a bad standard. We're comparing bad to bad. The Mandalorian and Grogu is not doing hot on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the environment in which it should be performing great.
I anticipated a 96% critic score for this movie. I thought the critics were going to be all over it because it's Disney, because it's Star Wars, and I was very wrong about that. It has been teetering. Last time I checked, it was at 61%, but it has been teetering back and forth between 60 and 61 over the last 48 hours. Yeah, which is insane.
I'll say one thing on this: the low Rotten Tomatoes score, though, is probably good for conservative Christian parents, because that means it probably doesn't have any LGBT or climate themes in it, given a dramatic 20-point boost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't rule that out at this point. I'll tell you. I mean, we're really in uncharted territory. Nat, one of the things that's being asked right now, because we don't have domestic numbers yet, it still has a few hours left before it's released. In fact, a couple at the time of recording. So the only thing we can ask is it losing international interest? We'll soon ask, is it losing domestic interest? Nat, these are really, really awful numbers. And this was, again, the thing that put Disney Plus on the map. The first two seasons of The Mandalorian gave Disney its first #1. A lot of people bought Disney Plus just for this. It precedes Bluey, I think, in that enthusiasm, that tsunami that came forth for that show. This is a horrible way to start under Solo, which they put Star Wars on ice because of Solo.
Well, and as you mentioned, initially you said it's not expected for a Star Wars movie to do this bad. Well, I think maybe now it is, and it is internationally, because we're seeing it in the numbers as well. And I think it's probably also because it's a movie for nobody. It's not a movie fully for women, even though that Grogu is cute and everybody wants a plush toy of him. And then it's not a movie for the fans because the fans already know it's not going to be good. It's not a technically good movie, apparently, because we saw from the trailers that the CGI is not where it should be, probably. So it's a movie for nobody. And all this chatter has already been going around, not just in the US or in this channel, for example, but also internationally. I've been seeing people here in Mexico critique it and complain that it's not going to be what fans wanted or expected. But it's also what they expect now from a Star Wars film from Disney.
Mm-hmm. Marv, I got to tell you, I think now we're looking at a worldwide that may be sub 350. And this just keeps dropping and dropping, but these numbers are awful. It's so far out of the territories where it's released.
So I went into Fortnite yesterday or 2 days ago when it dropped, and I watched the first 5 minutes in the Fortnite arena that they set up, which is an interesting way to get movie stuff out there. I sat down in that amphitheater as Stone Cold Steve Austin and watched the first 5 minutes of the film, and I have to say the first 5 minutes are pretty good because and Jeremy Johns talked about this in his review. He said the first 5 minutes is the best part of the movie, and it's all down because it's nonstop action. It's John Wick in a Boba Fett helmet, and after that, it's just boom, and that's why they showed the first 5 minutes to everybody, because it is the height of the movie, and then it's all downhill from there. That's what he said, and he's the reviewer that I trust the most.
Well, I got to tell you, that's the worst way for a movie to go. You want to end on the high note, not begin on a high note. And I've heard the beginning's not great. So if it starts off not great, and then it gets into worse.
I thought it was decent action in the beginning. It was very John Wick.
The criticism that I had heard is that even in the beginning, that the effects are flat because it's gray on black and white. It's gray AT-ATs on black and white stuff, and Mando's gray, and it's just like, where's the color? Where's the pop? Where's my Star Wars? Did you get that feeling, Marv?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like like I said, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels like a John Wick movie. And yeah, I could definitely see that. You have everything from AT-ATs in the first, to like crazy blaster work and hand-to-hand combat and Grogu using the Force, and so there's a lot going on in those first 5 minutes. But then that's apparently it. Like I've heard he fights a lot of CGI monsters in this movie, but I've heard that it's not. It's all downhill after those first 5.
We've got some new info coming in. I mean, literally just this is breaking as we're starting. I want to bring in another analyst when it comes to Star Wars. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. It's Lauren Connor. Lauren, welcome aboard.
Thanks. How are you?
Lauren, you're so excited about the collapse of Star Wars every day, right?
Well, it's been interesting the last few days. Yeah, what do you got?
Here's what we've got just breaking. This is out of Box Office Pro. It says UK and Ireland forecast Star Wars: The Mandalorian Grogu makes its way to the box office. Opening weekend forecast now 5 to 7. I think we're measuring this in euros, or is that pounds? We don't know. That's pounds.
That's pounds.
Opening weekend forecast is 5 to 7 pounds, a million pounds. Theatrical total forecast is now 18 to 23 million pounds. Lauren, is it my understanding is the UK tends to be the number 2 place for Star Wars? Is that right? Because it's traditionally, historically been produced there, and there's an affinity for it.
I would say either that or Japan, because Japan is also very much into it. But yeah, this is not a good opening at all.
All right, so we've got our forecast according to Box Office Pro. Now, this just coming in. Our forecast has The Mandalorian Grogu nowhere near the franchise heights of films like Rogue One at 66 million pounds and The Force Awakens at 123 million pounds. The latter, the higher grossing in the UK release of all time. We also expect it to fall short of recent entries comparable blockbuster franchises such as last year's Jurassic World Rebirth at 36 million pounds. So this is where do they have it? Let's see. Okay. Last year saw 3 acceptable middling box office performances for Disney. Fantastic Four came in at 23 million pounds. What do we got here for this one now? Help me remember this, guys. It's, oh my gosh, 5 to 7 million pounds. And we're comparing that to, oh, come on, hang on. This is okay. It's the total box office performance. I thought if that's the first weekend. Okay. So the entire thing, sorry, folks, we're doing this live. So the forecast for Mando is 18 to 23. That would put it at the ceiling. It's likely to come under Fantastic Four now, which did not perform well overseas. It may beat Captain America: Brave New World in the UK, and it's going to be on par probably with Thunderbolts. So that's where we are. Solo: A Star Wars Story looks like it will be the champ here. All right, Lauren, you're coming in on this. We've been covering the results from Italy. We've been covering the results from France. It's all bad. And it's actually lower than we'd anticipated. So, Lauren, your thoughts on the collapse of the international markets today?
Keeping in mind, Lauren, that we can see London, we see France.
We see Filoni's cowboy underpants.
Well, I commented in the chat on your stream earlier this morning, Marv, that we have entered a new phase, and I think that it's going to surprise Disney a little bit, because I think that their opinion was that the fan base has been very vocal, and they think that they have experienced something that has been, I don't want to say abusive, but they think that they have undergone strong criticism. I don't think that they've understood that up to this point what they've had has been polite suggestions. They are now fully in the FAFO period, and we are firmly into FO now. And I think the shock of that is going to be something that they had no real understanding of what that would look like. I think they, the Mandalorian, this is the dumb thing, and it's why I'm having such a hard time talking about this particular entry. A lot of people are cheering the downfall of the Mandalorian. I think the Mandalorian was really their one best hope to resurrect Star Wars. So I am not happy about
Same here,
this.
Lauren. Same here. I hope people don't think that I'm happy about it. The first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian I thought were wonderful. And I thought the appearance of Luke was really enticing, and I was excited for where they were going. And then the Gina thing happened. I don't take joy in the fact that they had a second chance and they squandered it. Like, they just massacred this thing. That's not fun to me, because I know there are Star Wars fans right now. They don't have anything anymore outside of video games.
So there's a couple things that I think have been interesting about the last couple of days. I believe that the fan base is now squarely saying, it's kind of like we said over the last couple of days, we're in a revenge phase now. We now are actively hurting you, because we have told you over and over and over again what we as the customers, not consumers, as customers, what we want. And you have repeatedly refused to give the customer what they want. And now we're saying, okay, we're going to re-educate you about how this relationship works. You think you're infallible. You think that you can tell us what we'll like, and we're just going to have to take it. You think that you play this out over a long enough time frame that you're going to get rid of the people you don't like, and you're going to cultivate a new fan base. That has been proven incorrect. Now you're going to understand that your salaries actually require that you produce what the customer wants. And the customer is no longer in the mood to give you any grace whatsoever. None. And that's why this is happening. I think this week they have been shaken down to their absolute core. This has now reached wildfire proportions, and I don't think they realized that before. I think they thought they had already been in the wildfire portion, and now they're learning that no, there's a whole new level of anger that you weren't even aware of.
I think that they did not factor in just how angry people were after the Acolyte.
Well, let's talk about this, because there's a cognitive dissonance that okay, so they didn't believe us. All right, every time we come on and we do a video and we say, you're in deep, deep doo-doo, people are angry, they didn't believe any of us, okay? All right, fine. But it's not just them. How many times did the mainstream, lamestream, go and extinct dinosaur media, how many times did they tell folks out there, don't believe it? If you like modern Star Wars, you're in the mega majority. Don't listen to the Russian bots. Don't listen to the trolls. Well, it turns out that because they've been telling this, people don't know how to handle it. I'm going to play this. I want you all to watch, and then we'll comment on it. But here, I think, is an example of cognitive dissonance and what's on the way for so many who listened to the mainstream media and believed it.
Everybody keeps telling me there's no way that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie makes $2 billion. But I think people are underestimating this movie.
I know I've said it 1,000,001 times on this stream, and I still believe it to be true. The Mandalorian and Grogu will make $1 billion. And you could be looking at 1.5. You could be looking at maybe 1.7. And if it's really good, you could be talking about a $2 billion movie.
Yeah, I'm standing by it. $2 billion is absolutely in play.
Yeah, this movie is going to be on the same level as Endgame, sure.
Yeah.
Or The Force Awakens. You know, this is ridiculous. It's one of the other things that I think is interesting that I've seen in the last couple of days is the level of shillery going on X. Everybody is popping out of the woodwork.
Wait a minute. Did you say chivalry or shillery?
Shillery.
Oh, we're saving that. Get that on a cup somewhere.
Well, I agree with you. You look at like Star Wars Holocron was talking about like, well, it's going to make 160 million and it only cost 166 million to make. I'm like, that is so disingenuous. You are aware that ticket splits exist. You are aware that marketing budgets exist. You know what you're doing.
Right, they're just lying at this point. Go ahead, Lauren.
And here's the thing that I think Disney and Lucasfilm really need to come to terms with. It's like, look, the audience is forgiving in the sense that if we think that you're actually making a good faith effort to produce something that we'll like, we'll forgive a failure. I think people can continually forget that the old EU, 50% of it, a lot of times was also crap, but 50% of it was good. And of the crap that came out, a lot of times it was either because an author that they had working on stuff was not necessarily familiar with the material, or they were making a good faith effort and just failed. As long as we're getting at least as much good content as we're getting bad content, we'll forgive you. We're getting 80% bad content and 20% content out of Disney. We've told you what we want. You refuse to give it to us, and I'm not going to accept that it's just an issue of the entire place being stocked with people of a particular ideology. If they wanted to, they are perfectly capable of giving us what we want. I'm not going to accept they're not capable of doing it. They are capable. They are actively refusing. And that is why you are now being punished and will continue to be punished until you accept your proper role in this relationship.
Very well said. I agree 1,000% with where you are. Nat, I want to give you the final word on it, and I'm going to throw you a curveball. I apologize for doing so, but having just went through this, I think about the last remaining chills and the shillery that Lauren has now introduced to our vocabulary. I think about, some of these folks are savvy enough, like Paul Tassi out of Forbes. Paul Tassi knows where this is going, and he knows when to jump ship. So, like, Paul Tassi, when we released this scoop we had on the sequel trilogy reset, his response to me was not, oh, you're wrong, Star Wars, people love it, that's been the typical response. Now, Paul Tassie's way of responding is, well, everybody knows the sequel trilogy is so unpopular. Duh. Nat, a lot of people are not that savvy. They don't know to jump ship. And I don't know where the media goes after this weekend. Where do you think, like, is this now the end of the defense? Do they dogpile Disney? Do they try to save their credibility now? What's going to happen?
Well, initially, I just wanted to concur with Lauren that it is sad that they're not wanting to, and they know how to fix it. And it is, I think, a fixable franchise if they wanted to get it fixed. But clearly they don't. But with the critics and with the shillery and etc., I think a lot of studios have seen benefits in trying to entice the more influencer type or content creator type to back them up. And they will if they're given enough incentives to do so, and it's easier to now deal with them than it is with the critics. So maybe I'm hoping some of the critics have realized, and we've seen it with other franchises as well, like Lord of the Rings. They've realized that they have to tell a little bit of the truth, at least, if they want to retain the smidge of credibility that they still have compared to YouTubers and people that actually just tell the truth straight up and don't have no qualms about it. So maybe some of them will jump ship, but I think some of them will still prefer the benefits that they get from continuing the shillery.
Folks, you heard it here first. The flop has begun. And for Pedro Pascal, this is number 2 summer blockbusters in a row. The age of the Peepaw is coming to a close, and this one could be far worse than Fantastic Four. It's going to be a time when Disney may shut the door on Lucasfilm. Folks, it's time to bid you adieu, but we hope that you will help us anew. And that is, we're only asking you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, have you gone the way of thatparkplace.com? www.thatparkplace.com. It's the website that if you're not yet bookmarked to, well, you should be. A bastion of truth and knowledge when it comes to entertainment and everything that's going on. Go check it out today, folks. We would love to have you over there as well. All right, we are getting ready to head out, but do not fret, for we will put out 4 more videos tomorrow, so long as the good Lord allows. And we believe that probably, just might, happen. All right, until the next time we get to share time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.